Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here back with another video, and today, instead of starting the SEC week with all these recent news about the Big Ten and these other conferences announcing that they're not going to have non-conference schedules, I'm not going to be doing my predictions. I'm only going to be doing my team rankings for each and every single division and all of the FBS. So, going all the way down to the MAC. Yes, the MAC. We're probably going to be doing them eventually. But today, besides that breaking news video about the conference video, last video was on my Big Ten team rankings. And as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, today we're going to be doing the SEC. And I'll be 100% honest. In last video, Minnesota had like one of the top 3 offenses. Let's be honest. Number 5, Auburn, which I just spoiled, their offense is probably better. Just because the rankings may be same as other teams doesn't mean that they're going to be worse or better. So, I just want to get it off, and this was way harder to predict, and it's way closer to predict. So, if there is some ratings I disagree with, this is my personal opinion, but leave it in the comment section below. We'll have a good argument down there. So, let's get straight into it. As I have the number 1 team I have is going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide this year. They have the number 1 offense and the number 2 defense in the entire SEC, in my opinion. Like I said, it was super hard to just put these in order because the top offenses and the top defenses are super close. Like, we know that Alabama has a better offense than Auburn, but how close are they going to be? So, I personally went with Alabama at number 1 because of their offensive line in that quarterback situation. Let's be honest, everyone's saying Kyle Trask is the best quarterback in the SEC. I'm personally not a big fan of Florida this year. So, I may even say Jamie Newman's the best quarterback. Like, it's so close with these battles, but I ended up giving Alabama the number 1 offense instead of LSU. Only because I think Mac Jones is more experienced, and I personally think he's a better quarterback. And just in case Mac Jones loses his job to Bryce Young, he lost it to a good guy. I personally think Bryce Young is going to be a phenomenal quarterback at Alabama. You have the best offensive line, in my personal opinion. Your wide receiver core, it's going to be iffy. I slightly give it to LSU for the wide receiver core, but your running game is way better. So, I'm going to give number 1 to Alabama, but that defense, I had to give it to Georgia, as Georgia is our number 2 team, as they have the 3rd ranked offense and the number 1 defense. Alabama, like, even though they may have the top key big name players, like, you don't have a big time players on that Georgia defense like Patrick Surtain II and Dylan Moses, but overall and depth wise, Georgia is way better at defense. They had one of the top 3 defenses last year, and even though they lost a lot of talent, they were super in depth last year, and they keep on getting better and better recruits. Including this year, they got the number 1 cornerback in Kelee Ringo. I think that's his name. I could be mistaken, though. But I love this Georgia defense, and that's going to be their main part of this team this year. But when you look at that offense, I'm not sure about that wide receiver core. I'm also not a big fan of Zamir Wright. But you have a great quarterback room. JT Daniels is coming back. He's supposed to be good this year. I'm a huge fan of Jamie Newman. And even though I'm not sure about your offensive, your wide receiver core, I'm a huge fan of George Pickens and Dominique Willis. But, man, that offensive line, they did take a few shots losing their one of the best offensive linemen in the league, Andrew Thomas. And also the other side of him in Isaiah Wilson. I forgot his name for a second. But, just like this Georgia team, they have tons of depth, so even though the offensive line may not be as good as last year, they're definitely going to be a top in the SEC. And yes, I personally think LSU will be better team-wise, better than Florida. They have the best wide receiver in the game in Jamar Chase. Your quarterback room is going to be a little questionable this year. You don't know who your starting running back is, but you have tons of depth at that position. So whoever the starting guy is, He's probably not going to get a lot of snaps, but overall, you're going to have a lot of good running backs. You have one of the probably the best wide receiver core in the entire SEC, in my opinion. And even though you lost some of your offensive line due to the NFL draft, I think it wouldn't be that hard to find some new replacements. But that defense is a little below. A lot of guys entered the NFL draft. Even though you did get Jabril Cox, I forget the dude's name, but 5-star linebacker, he has entered the transfer portal. Even though you have the best cornerback in the nation in Derek Stingley, I personally don't think your defense is overall better than Florida. Let's go on to Florida as they're number 4, as they have the 4th best offense and the 3rd best defense. I personally think overall Florida has the better defense. Even though LSU may have the more key players like Derek Stingley, it's kind of similar to Georgia. Even though they may have not the key players, overall they are nice. I'm also a big fan of Kaiir Elam as your cornerback for Florida this year. So, yeah. But that offense, I personally think it's good, but I personally think it's overrated. I do think Tony's going to have a breakout year for Florida this year. And besides that, that's personally the only great player I think that's going to be on this Florida team. I'm personally not a big fan of Kyle Trask. Your offensive line did take a few shots. I'm not sure about your running game. You do have one of the best tight ends in the nation in Kyle Pitts. I'll give you that. But I'm not a big fan of that Florida offense in my personal opinion. I think the defense will carry it, but as you saw in the records, I personally think Georgia will be better this year. Number 5, we have Auburn, and they are going to get straight 5s. They're number 5, and they have the 5th best offense and the 5th best defense. And I've been saying this for a while. This Auburn team is definitely way better on the offense, but that's how good the SEC is. Even though they have the same ranking as offense and defense, it's pretty obvious that, in my opinion, Auburn's going to have a way better offense this year instead of defense. Now, that's mainly going to be because of Bo Nix. He returns. Your top leading receiver in Seth Williams is also going to return. Also with Anthony Schwartz and Eli Stove. I really like this Auburn offense, but that schedule is going to be brutal, so that record is going to look a little bit worse. That defense, you definitely took a big shots. You lost probably the best nose tackle in the entire college football, Derek Brown. And then you also lost a few other key pieces like Noah N'Bukonene and also Marlon Davidson, which is now one of my Falcons, so I like him. I really do like your defense. It's mainly going to be led by Big Cat Bryant as a defensive end. But overall, I'll be honest, I really haven't looked and took a deep dive into this defense. But I think a lot of people can agree this offense is going to be better. And number 6 is Tennessee. And 6, 7, and 8 between Tennessee, Texas A&M, and then Kentucky. Even though they may not be on your screen right now. It was super hard to rank them, I'll be honest. Let's start with Tennessee, as they have the 8th best offense and the 7th best defense. This Tennessee team, I like. I'll get that straight out of the way. But that offense, that quarterback, Garrett Johanna, I'm not good with names, but he definitely has to get some more improvement this year for his senior year. You have one of the best offensive linemen, probably the most underrated offensive lineman in my personal opinion, and Trey Smith, as he's way better than people will say he is. But that defense is definitely going to be the key piece of this Tennessee team, even though you did lose top defenders like Nigel Warrior. So I'm not sure how to rank Tennessee, but I decided to go with this. And same thing with Texas A&M, but just reverse the order. I have them having the 7th best offense and the 8th best defense. Kellen Mond returns to his senior year. It seems like he's been there for over 40 years now, let's be honest. I really don't like this team this year. Your wide receiver core is definitely underrated for the SEC, but Kellen Mond has barely taken improvement after that sophomore year. Even though stats may say it on the field, on what I've personally watched, really hasn't changed. Jimbo Fisher and that scandal thing that's happening, I think that's going to bring him down a little bit. So I'm not a big fan of Texas A&M this year. That run game also has to get a little bit improved. Number 8 is Kentucky, and most underrated team in this entire SEC. They have the 10th best offense and the 6th best defense. And you may say 6 is too high, but if you look at this team, it's great, and that's mainly led by senior cornerback Brandon Echols, who is one of the best. Oh man, I can't speak today. Most under the radar players in the entire nation. One of the best zone coverage cornerbacks there is. Also great at pressing. Even though he really didn't have that interception or big playability for Kentucky, he's definitely a corner that's definitely going to succeed in the NFL. And just look at that Kentucky defense. Besides Echols, you really don't have that key star, but it's well-rounded. And I personally think they have a better defense than definitely Texas A&M, and it could be debatable with Tennessee. But that offense, you lost a lot, including Lynn Bowden Jr., who was your wide receiver / quarterback last year. So they have 10, but we'll get to the other offenses real quick, as we have number 9 in Mississippi State. They have the 6th best offense and the 11th best defense. And 6, I really like this Mississippi State team. They are 6 on offense for a reason. Mike Leach is a great offensive-minded coach. One of the top 5 running backs in the SEC in Kylan Hill. You get Stanford quarterback transfer KJ Costello. And also put those and Leach in there. That's a 3-headed monster right there. And Mississippi State's going to be putting up those points. That defense, you lost your top 2 defenders in Cameron Dantzler and Willie Gay Jr. So I'm not sure how well this Mississippi State defense is going to look. So I'll put them at 11. Number 10 is Ole Miss, and I have them at number 9 for offense and 12 in defense. My bad. But this Ole Miss defense, I really don't know that much about, I'll be honest. But looking at the stats from last year, this is going to be an appropriate range for them. But this offense I really like. John Rice Plumlee and John Corral. We really don't know who's going to get that job. I'll probably say John Rice Plumlee because he did lead the team in rushing. But Jerrion Ealy, I am a huge fan at the running back. And if Ole Miss has like a 9-win season somehow, it's probably going to be because of Ealy, and he can definitely be up there for a Heisman candidate going into his sophomore year. I'm a huge fan of him. That wide receiver core is always good. They've always been able to produce some great wide receivers over the last few years. So I think Ole Miss at 9 is a pretty good spot. Number 11, we have South Carolina. They have the 11th best offense and the 10th best defense. I'm not going to say I like the South Carolina team, but it's pretty, I'm going to say average, I would say. Ryan Holiski returns as your quarterback this year, and that defense, you get a 5-star defensive tackle in Jordan Burch. So I'm not sure if he's going to get a day 1 impact for South Carolina, but I think eventually they're going to get there, and they're going to be right outside that bowl team. Number 12 is Missouri, and I really like this Missouri team, even though they have a super tough schedule. Defensive-wise, they have the 13th best offense and the 9th best defense, and they're 9 because of Nick Bolton. Just like Brandon Echols, Nick Bolton is one of the most underrated linebackers in the entire league. Great linebacker you have right there from Missouri. And I personally had Missouri at 10 before, but just because of Nick Bolton, I bumped him up 1. And yeah, I do think they have a better defense than South Carolina. The main question for Missouri this year is going to be your offense. Kelly Bryant's now gone, so I could be wrong, but I'm not even sure if Larry Roundtree's still there. If Roundtree's still there, I still think they're going to be 13. You have one of the worst offensive lines in this entire SEC. Wide receiver core is a little downhill. Albert O is also left for the NFL draft, so I'm not sure if this Missouri team is going to be good. And then at number 13, we have Arkansas. They have the 12th best offense and the 13th best defense. And yeah, you have Florida transfer quarterback Felipe Franks on your team now. A top 5 running back in the SEC, Rakeem Boyd. I'm a really big fan of Rakeem Boyd, but those 2 individual players are not going to get you to a bowl game, probably. Do you think that offensive line is definitely going to be improved, as you hired the offensive line coach from Georgia to be your head coach, and Sam Pittman? But I'm really not sure if your defense is going to improve, maybe even get worse this year. So I'll put them at number 13. This Arkansas team's not going to be good this year. If they make a bowl game, it's going to be a huge win for this team. And number 14, I think it's pretty obvious it would be the Vanderbilt Commodores. 14th best offense, 14th best defense. You just need to get better in recruiting. And if once you get better in recruiting and maybe find that coach that you need, bingo. So that is it for my SEC team rankings. I know I really wasn't in depth as my Big Ten one, but yeah, I know it's definitely gonna be way more debatable. You can probably say Tennessee may have a better defense than Kentucky. LSU's offense may be a little lower. Florida should be a little higher. Just do it all in the comment section below. I'll probably respond. And yeah, so next video will most likely be the ACC team rankings, but I'm not going to say that's 100%. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and like always, have a good day. Peace out.